we got to get into these new World Team procedures. Kozak.
Yes.
Explain these procedures to me like I'm 5, please.
Okay.
Why don't we first, before we get into the nuance of qualification, like what is actually happening? So the World Team Trials are now going to go down in April, Las Vegas. There's going to be the Challenge Tournament and then the 2 out of 3 all in the same
and the U.S. Open.
couple days span. But I don't want to say that because that's not actually, there is no U.S. Open for.
Yeah. It's the wrestling tournament.
Yeah, okay.
It's
but
the
that's,
Open.
That's the Challenge Tournament. See, you're just making it unnecessarily
like
complicated.
I'm 5,
I'm not making
Yeah,
this
you are.
complicated.
It's going to be the Challenge Tournament, and then the winner, and then they do the 2 out of 3.
When the U.S. Open would normally be, yes.
When the U.S. Yes, would normally be, but it's not. So you have the tournament and then the 2 out of 3, where the and while the U17s and U20s, all that stuff's going on, this is going to be happening just for the Olympic weights. Okay, so there's no Final X after this. There's no, it used to go Open, Trials, Final X. Now it's just everything in basically a 2-day span. So it's a big shakeup. We don't know when the non-Olympic weights will have their Trials tournament, but this is, look, they're calling it World Team Trials Tournament there, not U.S. Open. So that's how they're going to do it. Now the reason why is essentially the Olympics and getting our team qualified, and they feel this gives us the best chance of qualifying all 18 wrestlers for the Olympic Games in LA in 2028. Okay, so. Do we want to talk more about that or more about why the process is so different this quad than it was 4 years ago?
Why is this process so different? I mean, because I think got to explain it as well as you can. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. So essentially, in basically spring of 2027, you can start earning rankings points for qualification. So there's a bunch of different ways to qualify for the Olympics. Top 4, or if you medal at Worlds, those 4 are automatically getting their country in. Mm-hmm. If you make top 2 at your continental qualifier, you're in. But before your continental qualifier, there's a very long ranking series. And the top 3 rankings points will get in. Where it gets complicated, as if it's not complicated enough, is, and this is where I think there's actually a little bit of confusion, is if we send Luke Liljedahl to one rankings tournament and then Spencer Lee to another, you don't just add those up and those are America's points. It's whoever has the most is the one that's like that could end it, or that could be counted as earning those ranking points for the nation.
You only earn, an individual earns points, not nation.
Yes. And then, so let's say, for example, if Luke Liljedahl has the most rankings points for the world and Spencer Lee wins the spot, we would still have the spot because USA has it. But what doesn't happen is if you combine those, it's not like, oh, Spencer goes this one, Luke goes this one. You don't add those up. That's not how it works.
Correct.
So it's extremely complicated. Kozak, why don't you get into the actual schedule here as it's laid out and why having it in April is the choice?
So here's the schedule. Essentially, the international wrestling season for the next year plus after in 2027. And so the first event to earn points for to qualify for the Olympics is in February of 2027. It's the first ranking series tournament. That's going to be in Albania. So then, at the end of April, that's when our world team will be set. So I would imagine they'll send the top 2 or try to send the top 2 on the ladder to this ranking series tournament in February. So then the team's set. So then you have your guy. You got your guy that you're going to send, and maybe they'll still send the top 2 to the rankings tournaments. But you got your guy. I would imagine they're immediately going to send those world team members to Pan Am's, which it's literally less. It's like less than a week, or about a week later.
That does suck for college guys. The
Yes.
first ranking series.
Yeah, not great for college guys. So yeah, you got your team. You send those guys to Pan Am's immediately. A month later, they go to the second ranking series, which is at the end of May to early June. And then about a month, 6 weeks after that, you go to the third ranking series, which is July 19th to 25th. And then 2 months later, you have World Championships. And then the ranking series start again in 2028 in January. First ranking series. Then a month later, Continental. Then it's it's done.
Rankings are done.
Rankings are done. The year basically set it. So whoever is the top 3 at every weight that hasn't qualified through Worlds, the top 3 at every weight, that country gets the
And
spot.
so the qualified will not be in the continental bracket.
Correct, which
So,
is
like,
a big difference from years
You
past.
can't block spots. It's just so
If we're qualified at 57, we're not going to the
correct.
Yeah.
So what this tells me is USA Wrestling, they just want to have it all out of the way. They don't want it to come down to sending guys to the Pan Am qualifier. They're putting all their eggs in the ranking series. So, I mean, it's kind of cool because it's like, all right, you get to see our best wrestlers wrestle kind of a season. Try to
Maybe,
go.
I mean, if somebody like Kyle Dake makes a team, he might go, I'm not getting ranking series points in May and July.
Is Kyle Dake going to compete in February, April again, May, July, September, 6 times in how many months? Like, he hasn't competed that much since, what,
18, 17?
18, 19 maybe? So, is Spencer Lee going to go to all those tournaments? Like, that's where it gets tricky because you kind of need the same guys to go to earn those points.
Absolutely.
And
You have to have the same
I
guys
think there's
go,
confusion
yeah.
even on the freestyle committee on how you earn points. Because I heard it said, like, hey, you're earning for your country. That's sort of true, but it has to be the same person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it gets confusing. Not that you have to send that person to the Olympics, but it's how you earn for the country. So it's sort of confusing. But yeah, are we going to get that kind of buy-in is my question.
And it feels like, I don't know, before I say something, do you like this
No.
system?
No, well, here's the thing. Here's what I don't like. I think this is a decision, and Helen had so I put out a quick explainer of why this is happening, which was a 1-minute video where I said, hey, this is all about qualifying for the Olympics. And then Helen had a great video that says, hey, this is why this is a good thing. This is why it makes sense. And all those reasons are very, very valid, but they're also the reasons that are like, I feel like the sport, every decision is about what happens inside the mat. Our CEO, Mark Floriani, has said, like, he's a track guy. He's an All-American at UT, Texas. And he's like, one of track's problems historically was all the decisions were made for the people that are inside the track, and no one's thinking about outside. And like this feels like one of those decisions where it's like, yeah, I get why this helps Helen or it helps us maybe optimize for Olympics. Maybe I say maybe because there's no guarantee that this is going to guarantee we get more Olympians to LA. And also, we qualified all 6 weights for men's and women's freestyle in 24. I think we qualified 11 out of 12. 11 out of 12 in 21. We qualified, I believe, all weights in 26. So in freestyle, we kind of do generally qualify. Now, it's been scary, right? We had to send Zane and Spencer to Istanbul right after the Olympic trials. So I get why that's not ideal, and the last chance is now gone. But I don't know that it necessarily helps our chances. There's a chance it does, but I don't know that. Two, I just think it's the best freestyle wrestling event that USA Wrestling has. It's the best event they have, Final X, and now they don't have it anymore. What I think, and the biggest point I have in all this is how we pick our team. And I've said it doesn't make sense how we pick our Olympic team. That you have basically 3 tournaments going on within one tournament where one wrestler is sitting out watching the whole tournament. One wrestler is out to the semis, and everyone else is doing this. If the idea is to have the best wrestler on the team, how do you know when one guy sits out and one guy does a whole tournament who's actually better in that scenario? Whereas I don't mind necessarily that the medalist gets to sit out to Final X when there's ample recovery time and you're not going through a whole tournament and then having to do the 2 out of 3 right after. But now I think it calls into question, like, man, are we sure this is the best team? We don't really know for sure, because when does an advantage turn into too much of an advantage, a counterproductive advantage that you're not trying to give a guy a leg up. You're trying to almost ensure that that man or woman is just on the team sort of no matter what. And who does that potentially keep out? I think that's something that doesn't get discussed in all this enough. And I don't understand it. I don't understand why. I would be, if they said, okay, we're doing it all in April because we just have to get these teams we have to get these weights qualified, then get rid of the sit out altogether. The returning medalist is the 1 seed, and they got to win a tournament, just like you have to win a tournament at the World Championships or the Olympic Games. I don't think it makes sense. I don't think you could find a process that is less an indicator of, or a less of a proxy of World or Olympic competition than USA's on Olympic years.
Well, and the crazy thing now is medaling in the 2026 Worlds, like the guys on the team this year, like, dude, you have a huge opportunity to establish yourself as basically the front runner for 2028, because you medal for this year, you're in the finals next year, you're making guys wrestle a tournament and then have to wrestle you, so then you're back on the team the year before the Olympics.
Yes.
Medal again. It's like you're putting guys 2 years out in this really big advantage to make the Olympic team. And I think to your point is you're putting guys who might not be our best chance at an Olympic medal. And so you give them the advantage. And so, like, when I first saw this, it's like, okay, we're really valuing, USA Wrestling really wants to qualify all the weights they can for the Olympics. They don't want to put it up to chance. They don't want to put it up to Nick Lee losing to Austin Gomez, right? Or Zane Rutherford losing to Destrabats. And so you're valuing getting to the Olympics more than you are of medaling, I think, when you're there. I think that's kind of like the how I evaluate it. It was like, okay, you really want to get there, and you're putting all your eggs in that basket of rankings here, rankings, but you don't know what could be the potential for harm of, like, whether it is you're over wrestling your best wrestlers or you're giving certain advantages to guys. So I think that's kind of it. And I think it unnecessarily changes a process where we've already proven to, like, be super, super successful in the process that we currently have right now. It's like, we're going to qualify everyone in men's freestyle. We're going to qualify everyone in women's freestyle.
Also, like, maybe our poorest performance in men's freestyle last year was the Olympic year.
Yeah.
Like, relatively, you look at 23, you look at 22, and you look at 25, it's like, man, those were better performances. Is that correlated with Final X? I'm not going to, I guess I'm implying that, but I don't know that for sure, but it's worth noting. The other thing I'll say is the sit out I understand why it exists, and you could say that's a big part of, Kozak, to your point, like, hey, the system is working. But I'll also say the sit-out was sort of created at a time where getting medals was a rarity and where depth was not strong within USA Wrestling. And you didn't want to risk Jordan slips on a banana peel in one match, and now you're sending someone else, Nick Marable, right? That would be bad. But now, for USA Wrestling, the depth we have of medalists, potential medalists, Spencer Lee doesn't make it. Luke Lillidahl is a medalist contender. Real Woods, Bo Bassett. Kyle Tate, Zahid Valencia. We have so much depth at every single weight class. It's almost, you don't need to work as hard, I think, to ensure that the returning medalists are given this much of an advantage, because I don't think it helps you as much in determining who the best guy to medal necessarily is. I think there's maybe some advantage, you give them a seed or whatever, but I don't think the circumstances that created the sit out are not what we're at right now. That's not where the country is. And so I think the same way USA evaluated then, I think you evaluate now.
So are you saying you want no sit out?
I'm saying I don't know that maybe if you win Worlds or something like that, but now medaling, bronze, look at some of the guys that can make that get in bronze medal matches. I don't know if I do want them sitting out or not. I don't know. I would be open to that. What I would certainly say is no sit out under any circumstances if you do the whole tournament in one day, in the 2 days. If you're picking your team on a 2-day window, no one should sit out to the finals. Period. I feel strongly about that. I don't know.
You and Kyle Dake.
I can't be swayed.
That's too much.
That's too much. I'm not mad at medalists sitting out to Final X, because by the time Final X rolls around,
Neutral playing field.
it's neutral, right? You get the advantage of avoiding the entire field for a year, which you could argue that that's too much of an advantage, but I understand it all the same. So I'm still okay with it in certain circumstances, but I'm not okay with it when it takes place in a 2-day span.
I get that.
What do you think, like college wrestlers, guys like Jax Forrest, Mitchell Messenbrink, Luke Lillidahl, Marcus Blaze, how do you think they feel about
With it being
this process?
Such an advantage for 2027, and your trials being, 1 month after NCAAs?
Regardless, I would say many weights were already in the same circumstance this year, because if you had a medalist at your weight,
You had to go.
April was everything. If you didn't win the U.S. Open, you weren't in Final X. So I don't feel, you lose a little bit of that flexibility. Like bad example, but PJ Duke wasn't going to go to the Open. He was going to do trials, and he got hurt before it. But you lose a little bit of that post-season flexibility. So I don't like it for them either, but I think that challenge already exists when you have your most important tournaments in April right after the season. And that's another thing. It's like, for USA Wrestling, what percentage of your talent pool is collegiate? A big one.
And it feels like it's getting more
bigger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's getting bigger. So what kind of deference should you show to that group in how you build your season, right? And how much can you really change? I don't know. For 2027, maybe you have to have it all in April the way it is. But my opinion is you could back some of this stuff up and ensure that the college guys get a little more time to switch gears, because don't you want that group optimized? Because it's a lot of savages there that could win world medals.
This makes me think I think we had talked about it before. Maybe they were going to do Olympic trials in like December. This makes me think they're not going to do that now, because I feel like they're thinking about doing one of two things. Either you put Olympic trials in December, or you do it this way, and you keep Olympic trials in April. I think that's what they'll do. Just looking at how what they're planning for, and sending guys everywhere. Because it's like if you put Olympic trials in December, then you have someone wrestle September, and then they're wrestling December, January, February. Like you're boom, boom, boom. I don't think they're gonna do that. So.
Yeah, what if we get a college kid on some of these teams, and how are they gonna get all these rankings tournaments in the middle of the season? January? I mean, even a September.
They're going February.
Yeah, that's hard with Worlds. So yeah, January and February. Yeah, big challenge. And then the Pan Am Olympic Games qualifier. If you're Luke Lillidahl, hypothetically, if you're on the 27 team, I know that's Spencer's there, but just first name that came to mind. You're going to do the tournament, and then you go straight to the Pan Am OG qualifier. That's a challenge for them. So this is just the Olympic year is really 2 years, and it's rigorous and challenging. And I understand that USA Wrestling's like, how do we? The thing is, there's no way to have it all with this decision, right? There's no way to optimize the schedule so that it all works out. You can just give yourself your best shot, and that's what they think they're doing here. I don't know that it's necessary, but I certainly understand why they're doing it. That bumps me out. No Final X is just a bummer, man. It's like you think of it. It's like it feels like. I mean, I would say Raph is doing this, but like it feels like one of the few opportunities in freestyle where they really get the
limelight, the
limelight, the
main event feeling,
the display, like that they deserve. Not the same, like the same walkouts that the schoolboy Greco guys should not be the same as Kyle Dakin, Zahid Valencia that they're going to get at the U.S. Open World Team Trials this year or next year. It's like, I don't know. It's not going to be as cool. It's not going to be, you're not going to be able to build as much fan interest. It's like NCAA wrestling has so much fan interest because of narrative and story and the elements of the season that make it really cool. And you have fans of the teams. It's like, it's really uphill to do that in freestyle wrestling. And this kind of makes it even harder.
Now, this is the process for all three teams.
Yeah.
Correct, which makes sense because I feel like this will be good for Greco guys to try and qualify.
Yeah.
I feel like so it does advantage.
They still got to go overseas and perform. It's like
correct.
He still got to score points.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. The way that I look at it is, most of the guys that are wrestling for a medal that don't medal, like if they're fifth place or really, they do really well at Worlds, like those guys get the most points. Like those are the guys that are gonna more than likely get enough points to be top three anyways, because then they're gonna go to the ranking series stuff. So I don't know. I think it's gonna all work itself out. I think that had we done things the other way, I think women's freestyle, men's freestyle would all qualify 6.
Yeah. One of the biggest, so this is a radical change from how you qualify for the Olympics in 24. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned the last chance qualifier for, how Zane and Spencer qualified in 24. That doesn't exist anymore. That's not an option for USA, because if you have qualified any wrestler for the Olympic Games, any style. You can't go to the last chance. So we are going to have already qualified. So that's not an option for us. And that will be one of the most insane wrestling tournaments.
That's why Lebanon's got to get back to me.
Lebanon, they're kind of ghosting our boy Kozak. They don't want him. It's very different. I honestly think, we should, in freestyle, men's and women's freestyle, we should qualify every weight, every quad. I really believe that because we have the Pan Am opportunity. But as we saw, the last 2, that was a challenge, so I get it. And if we get the right guys, the ranking things, I think it could work out.
The one thing we haven't mentioned is qualifying for this world team trials thing. They kind of screwed a couple of guys because obviously retroactively the 2026 US Open already happened, and one way to qualify this was to place top 7 at this event. And there were a handful of guys that did not compete in that 7th place match, obviously not knowing that it would qualify them if they won for the World Team Trials this year.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of like sympathy necessarily if you like forfeit a match, but it is odd to say, all right, guys, here's the World Team Trials. Here's how we're doing it in 2027. Okay, cool. How do I qualify? Well, you need to have placed a couple months ago at a tournament. It's like, well,
And that's a big part, too.
the majority of the qualifiers will come from the U.S. Open and World Team Trials that have already happened. So it's a weird thing to fill your qualifier pool with tournaments that have already occurred. So yeah, it's a weird. It's unique. It's unique for sure.